Millie Bobby Brown fights a dragon in the latest Netflix original movie, although a dragon shouldn't be that big of a deal. I mean, she certainly faced off against Stranger Things. This video is brought to you by ExpressVPN. Go to expressvpn.com/Murrell to see how you can get 3 months free, and stay tuned after the video for more info. Hello everybody, I'm Dan Murrell here with my thoughts on Damsel, which is the latest Netflix original film streaming right now. It's from director Juan Carlo Fresnadillo, who directed 28 Weeks Later several years ago, with a script from Dan Mizzo, whose previous 2 writing credits are Fast X and Wrath of the Titans. And with that resume, naturally, he has 4 more scripts in development. Damsel starts off with one of those voiceovers that says, "Remember those stories about a damsel in distress? Well, this isn't one of those stories," which to me is one step on the originality ladder behind Forget Everything You Think You Know. Millie Bobby Brown plays Elodie, a young woman from a struggling kingdom who's offered the chance to save her people by marrying the dashing Prince Henry, played by Nick Robinson. But this is not a blissful union, as Elodie is soon cast into a dragon's pit as part of an ancient ritual. Robin Wright plays Queen Isabel, the version of Princess Buttercup that's the result of the darkest timeline, with Angela Bassett as Elodie's not evil stepmother and Ray Winstone as Elodie's father. Shohreh Aghdashloo also lends her one-of-a-kind voice to the dragon. Damsel was supposed to be released last October, but they delayed it to 2024 because of the actor strike and because nobody was available to promote the film. But part of me wonders, why did they even bother to wait that long? Because it seems like Netflix movies only get attention for a week or 2 anyways, and then they just drift into this ether of Netflix content never to be heard from again. And given that each one of these movies is an investment of tens of millions of dollars, you'd think that the batting average might be a little bit better as far as movies that are just so forgettable. Maybe they just wanted to make this movie to stay in the Millie Bobby Brown business. She's credited as an executive producer, and when you look at her filmography, she has 2 Godzilla movies and then the 2 Enola Holmes movies that she made for Netflix. I guess they probably wanted to keep that relationship strong, but honestly, she and the rest of the cast deserve better than what this movie has for them. I mean, I hate to say it, but I don't think Millie Bobby Brown is particularly great in this movie, but there's also not much there for her. If I were to read the script, I would wager that half of her dialogue is Elodie screams, Elodie gasps, and Elodie grunts. It's one of the most out-of-breath performances that I can think of this side of Mark Wahlberg, and on a logical scale, I mean, listen, I've never been cast into a dragon's pit, nor, by the way, has anyone ever. But if I were cast into a dragon's pit, I would think that screaming every 10 seconds and trying to hide from the dragon are 2 courses of action that don't exactly work together. The bulk of the movie's budget obviously went to the dragon, and credit where credit's due. It's a really well-designed, well-executed creature that, when paired with Aghdashloo's voice, is able to be properly menacing. But the costs were obviously cut in other departments, such as the amount of sets that they were able to build, because this vast dragon slayer or this huge fairy tale castle actually feel quite small, like we're shooting against a very small amount of set. And the hair and makeup department was obviously affected as well, because Millie Bobby Brown is forced to wear a very questionable wig for most of the movie's runtime. And I'm not one who usually recognizes things like bad wigs. If I'm recognizing a bad wig, it's a pretty bad wig. The acting is serviceable, though I think it should be a crime to cast Angela Bassett and then give her nothing meaningful to do. But the script is what needed the most work. I get that the whole premise of this thing is based off of a subversion of the classical damsel in distress story, but honestly, other movies have done that before, so it's not like the concept is especially novel. And then when you look at this specific movie, even for a movie that has a runtime of under 2 hours, there seem to be a lot of time wasters, like we're sort of running in place for a while to rack up the runtime in order to make this feel like an epic movie. But it's not really an epic movie. Between unnecessarily long and quote-unquote bigger or shorter and to the point, I'll take the shorter option every single time. Now, if there are young girls in the audience who watch this and feel empowered with this character, I certainly can't argue against that. But I also think that the story itself undercuts a lot of the message that it's trying to drive home. And honestly, to get deeper into that point, I'm gonna have to go into spoilers. I don't do that a lot on my initial reviews, but streaming movies are a little bit different because they're available pretty much right now to everybody. So I am gonna go into some spoiler thoughts on the story itself. If you haven't seen the movie movie and you want to hop off right now, I'll go ahead and give you my scale rating. I was tempted to put it at it's fine, but the story issues pushed it into the upper tier of not a fan for me. It really comes down to what would I think about rewatching this movie, and I didn't see a whole lot in this that would make me say, oh, okay, I'd be okay with watching this again. So that's where I rate the movie, but I want to talk about the story and specifically the resolution of the story. So spoilers begin right now. So in the third act of the movie, we find out that this whole myth that the kingdom's based on, that the king went down to slay this dragon that attacked the kingdom, is complete BS, that he went down into her lair and he killed her children, and that's why the dragon went crazy and is demanding this sacrifice for everybody's safety. And Elodie is able to turn the dragon by revealing that she hasn't been killing the guilty descendants of the people that came in and killed her children, that she's actually been killing all of these innocent young girls that they bring in from other kingdoms, put royal blood into, and throw into the dragon's pits. So the people that the dragon is really going after have been able to completely escape credibility thus far, and I'm okay with it to that point. But then we enter like a Daenerys Targaryen portion that honestly I think should have been the whole third act of the movie. Instead, it's played off as just a series of cool scenes. Like the only note that Millie Bobby Brown got from the director was, hey, just walk and look badass, and that's the last 10 minutes of the movie. Now, obviously the royal family has to die. We know this. They've been complicit. They've been throwing people in the pits. They are of the royal bloodline. Nobody's rooting for them to survive. And of course, that has to happen for the movie to end on anything like a satisfactory note. But the movie doesn't stop there, because it looks like the dragon wipes out not just the royal family, but everybody in that proximity. And then as we're going out of the kingdom, that whole castle is just in flames. So it obviously didn't end with just 3 people. It looks like an entire kingdom was slaughtered, or at best displaced. Now, I get that this allows you to have the cool guys don't look at explosion shot of Millie Bobby Brown walking toward camera with the fire behind her. And honestly, I think that's why it's in the script, because it would look cool. But I don't think it quite jibes with really what they're trying to say about either character. When we begin the movie, Elodie's kingdom is starving and the people are homeless and they don't have anywhere to go. That's the whole reason that her family agrees to marry her off. And when we get to the end of this, what does she do? She destroys an entire kingdom, and again, at the very least, destroys their ability to function and the place where they live. So she basically turned another whole kingdom into what she was trying to fix to begin with. And the thing that turned the dragon to the quote-unquote good side was the realization that she was killing innocent people. And yet, I can't imagine that everybody in that kingdom was complicit. Yes, there were some weird people at the ritual, obviously the insiders to the royal family, but do you punish everybody for those sins? I think they wanted to end the movie on a big successful note, and they didn't really think through what that act meant as far as the characters that they're trying to build up. A lot of people would say, Dan, you're taking this too seriously. It's a movie about, a young girl and a dragon. I get that. Some people don't look this deeply into movies, but I do. And especially when you're trying to drive home certain themes and certain points and you're undercutting them with the resolution of the movie, that bothers me a little bit. Let's take a movie like Ready or Not, which actually has a very similar theme and ends in a somewhat similar way. That ending makes sense because every single person that we've seen on screen has been complicit in what's been going on in some way or form. That's not the case with this movie, but it wants to end on that same up note. I think it would have been a lot more fitting if Elodie had exposed the sins of the royal family for all to see, for the entire kingdom to have been disgusted with them. You can still kill the royals because you had to have that sacrifice of 3. Well, there were 3 royals to sacrifice right there, so it would make sense in a story sense. Then you have Elodie saying, hey, you know what? I'll take over. I will rule along with this dragon. This dragon is going to protect you. And oh, by the way, all of those people in my kingdom that were suffering, I'm going to bring them all here to live in this wonderful, amazing castle that has all of these riches. Everybody's happy. Everybody gets their comeuppance. And yet they went for the death and destruction ending, which you can do, but you have to address that. It'd be like if Game of Thrones took the whole Daenerys Targaryen thing and treated it as if this was her big conquering hero moment. Not necessarily what was going on there. If you're looking to set an example for young girls to follow with this movie, I'm not exactly sure that the Conan the Barbarian style crush your enemies and drive them before you type message is the best one to end on. And again, there are some people that aren't going to look or aren't going to care, and they're going to fist pump and say yes, and they're going to love the ending of this movie. And I'm not here to tell you that you're a bad person if you like that, but I'm here to sort of explain why the story didn't do that much for me. So anyway, those are my way too deep thoughts on the Dragon movie on Netflix right now. What did you think? Do you not even care about any of that story stuff? Let me know down in the comments below. And before we go, I'm going to thank the sponsor for this video, ExpressVPN. This video is brought to you by ExpressVPN. You put in passwords or codes to unlock your phone and your email or social media every single day. But what if you just stood in the middle of a crowded room and shouted all that info out for everybody to hear, and also told them every website you were visiting too? That's what it could be like if you're connecting to the internet without ExpressVPN. If you connect to Wi-Fi in public at a coffee shop, airport, or hotel, you open yourself up to someone hacking that network and accessing your data. And even when you're at home, your service provider can track your info and sell that to companies who can then use that data to target you. With ExpressVPN, your data is in a secure, encrypted tunnel between your device and the internet, and it works on your phone, laptop, tablet, even router, however you like to stay connected. Whenever I'm traveling, even if I'm on a network that's shared by hundreds of strangers, I never worry about having someone steal my information because ExpressVPN has me covered. If I've got a device turned on, you can guarantee that ExpressVPN is active and protecting me no matter where I am. And it's so easy to use. Literally one button lets me know that everything is safe. Secure your online data today by visiting expressvpn.com/Murrell. That's expressvpn.com/Murrell, and you can get an extra 3 months free. expressvpn.com/Murrell. Thanks to ExpressVPN for sponsoring this video, and thank you for watching. Stay tuned right here. Tomorrow, I'm going to have the latest edition of Streaming Charts with Dan. We won't have any Damsel numbers, but we're going to talk about Avatar: The Last Airbender and a lot of the streaming stories that have been going on the last couple months. And in the early hours of Monday morning, I will have my recap of the Academy Awards, which happened on Sunday. I'm super excited, as always, to talk about Oscars here on the channel. Thank you so much for watching and spending part of your day here with me. Until next time, stay safe, and I'll see you then. Bye.